Oh, yeah. I thought that was just part of getting older. And love was another thing.
Okay, she's a green jacket.
Yes, sir. Very good. We're gonna have to shoot them. I had a horse that wouldn't breathe like that. We just got rid of him.
I got a cool gun on a raffle.
Staying sober. Yeah, most of the time.
It's a 22 long rifle. 22 long rifle, semi-automatic pistol. It's an 18 gauge made. How you doing, man? You have a gun here on your 6 old. And with it comes 1,500 rounds of ammo. $20. The drawing is
And I got 10 of them off the car. Yes.
need not be present.
We got plenty for you.
For the the drawing is March 5th at the District 12 Fair. I'll stop in and hit roads up this morning. I gotta stop. Well, yeah, I'll tell her, Randy said come in and see you.
What's that?
That always works, doesn't it?
For Randall?
I got hit out.
Oh, no, I wish I so I know who you're talking about.
I forgot to say hi to you.
He's getting bigger.
I have this Facebook thing, kind of sort of figured out. But the thing is I'm not sure where I'm supposed to post stuff. Whether I do it on the same page that she said I got, or
Go there and it'll give you a box and you can fire it up.
okay.
Patty,
And then where's it go?
Press the same that we started like. Anybody that takes it with the Facebook print. Or I would use it as a
These others are really cool.
anyone can, when they get back. But not
See,
your
okay, see, that's one of those things that confuses me. So we need to talk about this more.
We'll go ahead and call a meeting to order tonight. I'd like to start out the meeting tonight, if we can, with a short moment of silence. We lost Dick Barlow here recently, and he was a good community member, and our community has been diminished, so if we can take a moment, please.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and start with the secretary's report.
See, I've got the council meetings from January 13th, 2016. Quorum present of Daryl Dreher, Janine Erickson, Deb Shooter, Danny Shooter, Brendan Knox, Carl Baker, and Dane Curley was excused.
Meeting called to order approximately 7 p.m. Secretary's report. Janine Erickson read the October 2015 minutes. Ron motioned to accept the October minutes. Kenny gave a second. The motion was voted on and passed. I read the December 2015 minutes. Pat motioned to accept the December 2015 minutes, and Pam Hike gave the second. Motion voted on and passed. Treasurer's report. Deb Shooter reported that we have $118.52 in the council checking account and $17,956.79 in the building fund. Motion to accept by me and a second by Patty. That was voted on and passed. Road service area, Mike Shields was present, and he read his proposal to the council for an increase to the mill rate. He explained how the road service area is funded, what is the maintenance, and how it is performed, the importance of capital improvement, of the capital improvement plan, and how they are funded, or capital improvement projects, sorry, and prioritized. And Mike also explained dust control and the use of calcium chloride. Jim Sykes was present and informed the council that the second phase of Jim Creek parcel has been funded and the work would begin on installing electric to the bathrooms. The construction of approximately 20 space campground will be installed west of the pavilion parking lot. Completion of the Jim Creek Trail. This year, starting 2 months earlier than previous, the borough will be holding a day-long budget meeting, January 30th. Jim believes we are facing some serious budget issues. He discussed the air problems being discovered by the air quality monitoring system and wanted to warn the residents of EPA involvement should we fail 3 years in a row. November through January is when the most poor air quality failure occurs. The flood buyout program, FEMA did not fund any of the applications submitted, and they provided no reason as to why. Pam Hoyt from Valley Recycling Center was present and informed the community of their location and the importance of recycling. She explained briefly about their nonprofit status. She stated pickup for sorted recyclable materials is available for about $5 a week. She also explained to the community where people could recycle their glass. See correspondence. Darrell read the email from Frankie Barber. Mary made a motion that we construct a letter to the DOT and ask them to come out and evaluate safety issues at the intersection of the Old Glen Highway by the Green Store. Pat gave the second to the motion. It voted on and passed. It was agreed to be posted on the agenda for adequate notice to the community. Motion was voted on and passed 23-7. Motion to adjourn. Andy, and a second was given by Jason and Mike.
Can we have a motion to accept the secretary's report as read?
Second. Good man, Mike.
Yeah,
Okay, and then I've got the, Debbie's not here, and I've got the, treasurer's report as well. We have $231.68 in the checking account, and we have still $17,956.79 in the building fund account. So that would be the treasurer's report.
May we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as
You
read?
sure?
Mike?
Kenny?
And a second.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
All right, Jim Sykes said that he may or may not make it tonight, and it doesn't look as though he made it tonight. We have a couple of
They have a Sunday meeting.
Yeah, he may come in later, Darryl.
assembly meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may come in later.
He also, he emailed and said that he was, might possibly go to Chickland. Or
Depends
here.
on how late this assembly meeting runs, but if it runs as long as he thinks it might, he'll probably come here instead of Chicken Little.
Nice.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to his report if he does show up then. And we have the road service report from Mike.
Well, you have staring out your window and out your windshield, you know what the road service report is. We're still chasing potholes when we can get to them. We're waiting for winter. That's what it is.
Good luck.
But it hasn't arrived yet. Ice is our biggest problem right now, and sanding and serrating is the main thing. One thing I think you should be aware of, some of you may have seen this, was an article in the Frontiersman about a month ago. Representative Shelley Hughes has come up with an idea that apparently she's still pushing, that when DOT, because of its lack of staff and its budget cuts, can't do things like snow removal and sanding, her approach is, well, the borough should be able to take that over, we've got lots of money. Which tells me she doesn't understand how RSAs are funded. That's the only source of road funds for things like that. The only way we could take on DOT operations is to raise the mill rate for everybody in the borough so we could pick up the state's cost. Right now, the borough is saying, that's a really stupid idea, we're not interested. So if you hear any more about that, we're hoping it dies of its own weight. One other thing that came up, I was informed that in the meeting last month, I had made mention of a study that DOT is doing regarding ATV damage to the shoulders of paved roads. And apparently some people took that to mean that, oh, well, now it's legal to drive on the roadway in order to save the damage on the side. That's not the case. I'm not a lawyer. The only thing they're doing is a study. The law is still the same, no ATV use on a paved road. Any questions about that?
Well, not about that, but about the budget thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know this is not in the RSA situation, because this is I live on McKechnie Loop, and that's a state-maintained road.
Mm-hmm.
And, I really hate to complain about, but, they come by twice a day right now sanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. We don't need to be they are wasting money.
It looks like a gravel road now.
And this goes on year after year after year. Like I said, I hate to complain about them loving my road,
Yeah.
but really, when we're trying to save pennies here, dollars,
Yeah.
who do we talk to about that?
Go directly to DOT, to the state, and complain to them. One other thing, if you know or have contact with your representative in Juneau, either the rep or the senator or both, you can send an email message to them and say, this is a little ridiculous, can you look into it? That will probably generate quicker reaction than if 4 or 5 of us.
Well, I kind of hate to complain, but it is ridiculous to be sanding twice a day right now.
I hate to say this, but we've got one contractor for the borough who has refused to serrate with an ice blade, and he's gone through roughly 150% of the sand for one RSA. And right now, we're borrowing sand from other RSAs in order to keep that idiot in business. And I'm pissed, but the borough lawyer says, well, the assembly controls the contracts, not the contracting officer, so that's as much as I would say. One other thing I'd like to kind of throw out, last month's meeting, I know Darrell and I both came here thinking that there might be a vote by this group as to whether you actually supported or did not support the idea of raising the mill rate in order to keep our CIP program going, and we were a little surprised that nobody made a motion. So I'm just going to throw that out again. You don't have to. If you don't make a motion one way or the other, it's considered neutral. You have no real say one way or another. No opinion. You do have a say. But I'm just going to bring it up again in case somebody wants to make a motion.
May I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
If we do this, vote on this, then does that mean that the community council secretary is going to write a letter and send it on to the assembly?
You can do it one of two ways. You can do it as a resolution, which is the way it should be done, and then that resolution eventually goes to the assembly.
And how does that resolution go? As a letter or?
There's actually a resolution format. If you
Oh,
don't
okay.
have it, by the way, it's on the website for the borough.
Okay.
There's a standard format with all the whereases in it, and we therefore resolve this way or that. That's the best way to make your opinion known to the assembly. The one thing you need to understand about resolutions, they're kind of like minutes from community council meetings or road board meetings. It takes a while for them to get to the assembly. I've had a lot of people say, well, we sent in a resolution just a week ago and they haven't done anything with it. When that resolution goes in, it gets put in a packet, it's considered by the assembly, and then the next regular meeting is when it actually gets considered for any kind of a vote or action. So it can take up to a month, easily, from the time you send in a resolution till anything happens with it. I've also learned with resolutions that it's a good idea to call your local representative on the assembly and say, we just put in a resolution, by the way, if you got an email, we'll email you a copy. Quite often those things, when they get a packet this thick, that may not get read. Your one piece of paper can disappear.
That's what I was asking you, if we called a representative, could we ask for expedited consideration and such? Could he bring it to the other members?
No, well, he can inform other members. You can blanket every assembly member if you want to, although only the assembly rep from here is probably really going to listen to us. Frankly, the biggest part of, well, there's two things happening there. One is a hell of a big paperwork load. If you've ever been to assembly meetings and seen their little book, it's not a little book. It's a 3-ring binder. It's about that thick, and supposedly, the week before the assembly meeting, they read all that junk. I know that doesn't happen. Actually, it comes close to happening with Sykes. He's probably the only one that takes the time to go through all that stuff. The other one that we've noticed, depending on the particular assembly member, and I'm not going to name names, some of them say, oh, that's about so-and-so, and that's the end of their interest, and it just keeps going. So, People lead people. It's called politics.
I don't think that's the answer we wanted, but at least we have the answer.
I'm not gonna pull any bullshit on it, so.
Okay, you said there were two ways to do it. One's the resolution and the other is a letter.
The other is just leave it in your minutes,
Oh.
because eventually they read your minutes. They're less likely to read your minutes than they are to read a resolution, though.
Okay.
So I would tend to do it as a resolution.
All right, so a letter is not the way to go.
Not really. A resolution expresses the intent of the community council.
Okay.
A letter expresses an interest of, but it doesn't carry a vote line.
It actually legally shows it's been voted upon.
So you got that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We have sent resolutions to them prior to
Okay,
that.
all right.
That's all I got, and I'm not gonna stay terribly long, but if you've got questions, because I got a cold and I don't wanna share it with you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll stay a couple more seconds on this road service area thing in case anybody wants to entertain a motion. Randy, you had something to say?
I think we need to put it out so the more people in the community are here to vote on it, because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of people here
Yep.
tonight. We make it real clear that we're gonna vote on this, and,
Very, very good point. And what's our deadline on that?
Whenever we get it in, because I don't expect the assembly to do anything with that request. They should have already gotten our resolution from the road board. I mean, that was written back last year, so that should have already gone through the assembly. I have not heard any reaction to that. I also don't know what stance the South Nick Community Council took.
All right.
Whether they were in support or opposed or neutral.
So you need to put it out on your Facebook page?
I'll go ahead and I'll ask right now, is there any objections to putting this on the agenda for the next month? And
Absolutely.
to include it on the Facebook? I'm sorry, Gregory.
No, that's a great idea.
Okay. And show of hands if you object. Seeing none, it's unanimous.
Okay, one final thing, I won't be here next month.
somewhere warmer, I hope?
Huh?
Somewhere warmer, I hope?
Well, we'll see if it's warmer, I'll be in Tennessee.
No.
Ron, you got a question?
I have a question for Mike. Mike, did you give us a copy of that resolution, or did you just give us, I remember getting an emailed copy of your reasoning behind the resolution, was very well thought out and written. Not that I'm gonna vote myself a tax increase, I understand, but you did a good
Food for
job.
thought, yeah.
Yes, it was good. Maybe we should make that available, because that was,
The answers to specific questions?
well, it
No,
was actually.
he's talking about the resolution that the road board passed.
Oh.
And
okay.
it was the reasoning behind it. It was
Yeah.
well written. I thought you did an excellent
That
job.
was what went behind it. I can get that to you, I can email it to you.
Okay. If you want to email that to Janine, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can, I've been hosting stuff.
I have a question.
Gregory.
Mike, to clarify, we need this increase in the road service area fee because the assembly passed an exemption for vehicles over 8 years from paying the borough tax. Is that correct?
That's one part of it.
That's a large part of it. Is that correct?
Well, there's two pieces to that. That is part of it. Standard inflation is another part, and the
Okay.
fact that we're not keeping up with anything like a rational timetable to fix these roads. So I'm trying to keep this program running, make up for the fact that we lost the vehicle tax, and be smart about which projects we fund. We've got some that could sit out there that are huge. I'm probably not gonna tackle those, because they would wipe us out for 2 or 3 years, and I don't wanna do that. I'd rather be hitting smaller roads, problems we can handle within our CIP budget. I'm not relying on state grants anymore, and I'm not gonna try to make it up with your taxes, by the way. State grants for a freebie, and I'm not gonna nickel and dime you for freebies.
Good, thank you.
Just a comment, I've seen a grader out cutting the ice on the roads, and he's doing an excellent job. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'll pass that on to Carl. Other Carl.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, as I try to write down my thought before I forget it, does anybody else have any issues or concerns that they would like to bring to Mike's attention about the road service area at this time?
See, no winner. Ron.
I would like to suggest, obviously, we're gonna vote on this at next monthly meeting, and I think that's a good idea. You know, prepare for this 1 month in advance. But I would suggest if someone is in favor of this, that they have the resolution pre-written. You know, if we have it pre-written, and then if it gets approved, we're ready for the council to sign
We
it.
can
and
sign
send it
that
on.
night, and send it on, well, I'll send it on to Mike, because he won't be here.
Yeah.
Well, we got two more questions, you were
I'm
first.
thinking if you do have it pre-written, you might consider sharing that ahead of time as well then. I mean, I think it's a great idea to be as prepared as possible, but if it's pre-written, then you
Yeah,
want to share it ahead of time as
That-
well.
I'm not gonna poke the bear, if the secretary has that done in time,
yeah.
I will allow that to be done.
To some
She's
degree, you
an
can kind of copy
incredibly
it.
capable.
She is incredibly efficient. Okay.
Yeah, Mike, is there anybody that can take your place?
I can send
Second,
either
that could
Roy.
be here?
Yeah, I'll get ahold of Lucy and see if she can't be here, probably Lucy and Roy both.
Okay.
Now, that's something I should have thought of, Kenny, very good job. All right.
This Gray right here, he's wise.
Yeah, right.
Trying to resemble that.
Is that what it takes, huh? Thanks, Dave.
Lady
You
from-
do, I see you're also pretty.
Lady from MEA, was it?
I'm Lady from MEA.
There you are. In the green coat, you have the floor, ma'am.
This is Dusty, is that correct, Dusty?
Yeah, Julie Esty.
Julie
Hey guys, I'm Julie. I'm from MEA. I'm also from the Butte. I live out on Republican Way, so this is my home community council. And as soon as my kids grow up and don't want anything to do with me, I look forward to spending more time here. I wanted to let you guys know, first, also give you guys an opportunity to ask me any questions, but to let you guys know that we're going to be doing right-of-way clearing in this area in the next few months. Basically what that means is we're clearing trees, brush, anything from the ground up to our distribution lines. Those are the common lines that you see down the big towers kind of going across Bodenberg, but the normal ones that bring power to your home business. We are now on a 7 to 8 year clearing cycle where we're trying to do that every 7 to 8 years. We haven't been that good at that in the past, so there's some places that are really grown up. The other thing that we have not been good at in the past is clearing to the full width of the easement. We usually have anywhere from like a 20-foot to a 30-foot easement, depending on the area. In the past, we've just kind of gone through and done what we can. This time, we're directing everyone to go to the full width of the easement, which can be painful because it means that some trees that may have been missed in the past are going to be cut this time, and that can mean some pretty big trees. But those are the ones that are also growing up into the lines and creating a problem. And nobody really likes clearing, but it really is the single cheapest and easiest thing that we can do to keep the lights on for everyone. And it's the turn of the Dow substation, which is that substation right across from the green store. So everybody that's connected to that substation is going to have their distribution lines cleared. They just started out in Goat Creek. They're starting there, and then they're going to go down Kinnick River Road. Then they're going to start at the substation and head towards the Kinnick River. And then once they're done there, they're going to start back at the substation and head out towards Maud. So what you'll get first, once they start on your section, you get a robocall. So we just put everybody in that feeder into the system. So you want to make sure that your contact information is correct in the MEA system. Then you'll know that you're coming up within a few weeks. Then a couple days before they come through your specific section, you'll get a door hanger on your door. So somewhere between the robocall and the door hanger, ideally not after the door hanger, because then they're going to be right in there, there's a few things to think about. One, look at your section of easement, and please, please, please remove anything that's in the middle, whether it's cars, fences, dogs, whatever. Those easements need to be clear because we're coming through with a mower and machines that are going to cut everything down, and some hand saws as well. And then the other thing too is look at that easement, and if there's like the tree that your children planted for you and you want to see if you can get it a stay of execution, that's when you call MEA, call as soon as you can, and somebody will come out and do their best to work with you. There's some times that we just can't. There's trees, singeing up into the lines and creating a hazard, but we will try to work with you when we can. This is actually going to be our in-house crew. We sometimes use contractors, but our in-house crew will be coming through. They're a really good group of guys, and if you have any problems, please call us as soon as you can. But try to call us before if you see anything that you're worried about. If you have a question, are you going to go here? What they'll do after they do the door hangers, they'll come through and generally tag the trees that are going to be cut. And then another crew will come through and cut. So if they've tagged something that you're wondering about, or you're not really sure where the easement is, call, and we'll do our best to work with you. I've left some maps here that show the distribution lines, and so you kind of know where you might be. But yes.
If you're going to be cutting down trees, What's gonna be done with it? You guys, get them gone, or you leave them for wood cutters?
Anything over, I think it's, I don't know the exact thing, I think it's,
3 to 4 inches?
yeah.
Well, that's like about, that's about 3.
They mulch, they chip it, mulch it, and that gets left in the easement. Anything larger, they buck up and leave to the side,
Okay.
and people can grab it.
I'd like to comment on the fact that I'm glad that your crews are doing it, because when the contractors do it, they are not very neighborhood friendly.
We've been really working hard to just work with contractors that are, and we're getting better. But you're right, our in-house guys, our in-house guys are great.
Now, as far as the easements are concerned, you're not going to be worrying about any that are underground, right?
Actually, underground easements must be cleared as well,
Oh,
because
really?
you don't want trees growing up there and the root falls creating issues. So those need to be mowed as well. So that's a great question, because a lot of people don't, I didn't think so. It's like, oh no, it's underground, no worries, but the tree guys tell me otherwise. So yes, those will be mowed and cleared as well, yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
So are you working on the areas from the power lines to the house then as well? Or
Yes.
strictly out on the right ones? To the house then?
Yeah, all
Okay.
of our easements and right of ways. Yeah, so if you have any questions, call, yes?
Julie, is this just easements that currently have power lines on or under them? Or there's a lot of utility right-of-ways that are marked in section lines here in Butte that have no power lines? Are you going to be clearing those
You
also?
always ask me good questions, and I don't know the answer. I'm assuming it's just the distribution lines, but I'll
Just
find out for you.
distribution lines, okay.
Yeah, just ones that have wires.
I have an easement on the, or a utility easement on the north side of my property, and it's never been cleared.
Yeah, my guess is we would not clear that unless we used it, but let me find out the answers.
I did keep my garage off the easement.
Thank you for that.
I didn't want to come along and tell me I had to cut the eve off.
The other thing that I want you guys just to think about, because it's something that Birchwood is dealing with after some clearing in the last 2 years there, is that when we clear easements, all of a sudden, places that weren't access trails for SUVs or four-wheelers become access roads. And so people can now drive down these easements that weren't able to do that before. And so take a look at your easement, or as a community, take a look at what may be impacted. MEA can work with you on putting up signs. Property owners have installed gates. We worked with Birchwood. There was no trail on the easement, but there were trails off the easement. And so we were able to put boulders in some of those places in Birchwood. There's nothing we can do because we don't own the property. We just basically gain the right to put our lines there, and then you give us that right and you agree to keep it clear of obstruction. So we can't really do anything, but we're willing to do what we can to work with you as a community or as a property owner, because it's been an issue, and I went out and talked to some folks in Meadow Lakes. They just had clearing last year, same thing. So it's something to think about. Any other questions about clearing or any other questions about MEA? All right. I'm going to stay here until I can put my kids to bed.
All right. More than welcome.
And please wish Julie good luck. She's running the 50K on Saturday.
I'm going to be trying to crawl behind James, so.
Good luck to you both.
You're impressive.
All right, our whole business this time.
This is not the right one. That's less.
Discussion of the safety issues along the Oak Line Highway in front of the Green Store and draft of a letter to DOT concerning such. Marion,
Yeah, so maybe I just do that.
you may.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Cochran. Yeah, I would like to make, I guess the proper way to do this would be to have the board, I would like to have the board make a resolution to send a request to the state of Alaska at the traffic and speed department to study mile 11 to 13 of the Oak Glen. That is between Sullivan and the North Bridge Road. The last study was done in 2004, which probably was done when the road was the old highway, the crappy highway. But now we have an improved road, more population, more users of the Connect River rec area, expanded racetrack, more gravel trucks. We just have more traffic on the road. If the state, I spoke with the traffic engineer, and he doesn't like change, but so I don't know what we're going to be faced with that. But if he won't, so I guess my point is, if they won't allow us to lower the speed limit at least give us some flashing lights to slow people down, because I'm sure people are driving faster than 55 miles an hour. I think the study will prove that we just need to start slowing people down before we have any more terrible accidents.
We could probably also check with the state police and see if they're giving out an increased number of tickets along that stretch. to see
Right.
if it
Well, I would
would
suspect that's how the study,
Bear the same.
I would suspect the study that the state would do would encompass that. I don't know how they do that.
I didn't see your hand up.
Yeah, I was wondering, what about making it one of those safety zones where they put signs up that double speed limit or double fine for exceeding the speed limits? That maybe it's not fun to look at.
Safety zone.
I think that's one of the things that they assess at that point.
I would recommend that's included in the resolution. I know that had a significant impact on traffic on KGB Road as far as speeds on KGB. Still a bad situation out there, but I think it certainly is common enough now wouldn't make a difference.
So before we go further along with the discussion or issues or concerns on this, can you go ahead and make that official by making a motion to us that we make that resolution?
Oh, is that how that works then?
Please.
Okay, yeah, I would like the motion to say that the Butte Community Council will write a resolution to the state safety engineer, and I had emailed that information, and it's on the website, so you should have that address and his phone number.
I saw it on Facebook.
Right, well, not on Facebook, on the webpage.
I didn't see it on there. I seen Kathy posted it on Facebook.
Including
Whatever.
That's
Scott Thomas.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, the motion as it stands is that we make a resolution and send it to DOT. Do we have a second?
A second.
And a second by Randy beat you for just a second.
That's fine.
All right.
But I
I'm
do
glad everybody's eager though, that really helps me out, thank you.
I just do want to make one comment. This takes, just like Mike was saying, it takes forever. And he says they do this as fill work between they're doing other jobs. So it could be months before we get any information from him. But you gotta get in the door, you gotta start the process.
Now, is this another one that we're gonna vote on next month?
And we can advertise for more people to be here. I think that's probably.
Well,
We did this
last
time,
month.
we did last month.
That's what I thought, we
put
did
it on
this
the
last
agenda.
month.
We put it
So
on
this
the
should have been
agenda,
on the
posted
agenda
it
this
out,
month.
so,
It is.
I'm sorry.
It is on the agenda, Dane didn't know he wasn't here last month.
But it
Our
has to,
mistake.
but it had been posted. I saw
It
this
was,
afternoon.
it was posted. We can go ahead and vote on that tonight. Is there any more issues or concerns anybody would like to bring up about this before I call for a vote on it? Any discussion? Yes,
Yeah,
Gretchen?
just a question on the motion. Does the motion list the suggestions, or will you ask for suggestions from the body to put in the motion?
We will
in the
incorporate
resolution?
Mary Ann's suggestions, of course, and if somebody else has more suggestions, how should we handle that? Should we get them tonight, or would you like them to email them?
What about the safety zone idea? That could be part of this.
We said that we would include that in as part of the resolution.
So if I draft the motion, or we draft the resolution pretty much after the letter that you wrote to Scott?
Well,
And
yeah, but I
voting
mean,
and then
I didn't
include
even
the
think about the
safety
safety part.
Yeah,
No, I
we
can
will add that in.
include the
Yeah.
safety zone, would
Yeah.
that work? That
I
would
mean,
work,
I
right?
really think they have their own formula.
Right.
I just
Yeah,
need
they
to say,
do.
hey,
They'll come out and take a look. And
right, and they're gonna
assess
do
it.
what they think's best.
They're not gonna do anything until there's a study.
Right.
Right.
All right, so
We just have the resolution for the study of state DOT mile 11 through 13,
That's what I think.
Old Glen Highway, incorporating suggestions for highway safety zones, reduced speeds, flashing lights, or other signage.
does that cover it pretty much for everybody? All right, I'm gonna ask if there's any more issues or concerns before I call for the vote. Seeing none, I'll ask for a show of hands. How many against? 2? All right, looks like the vote went through with 2 objective. Thank you so much. And we also have,
Write this down.
what else was it here? There's one more thing, wasn't there? the Matsu Trail. Yeah, we got the Matsu Trail thing, I'll do that after,
Correspondence, that's the.
after Earl, yeah, that's the correspondence. We'll go ahead and, Mr. Lackey has some new business he'd like to bring before the council, and then we'll do our correspondence.
Okay, on behalf of the Alaska Outdoor Council, I have a letter addressed to the Butte Community Council. Kenny and Patty Barber have been instrumental in the development of outdoor recreational opportunities in the Butte area. Their leadership in the effort to reclaim and reclassify what is now known as the Knik Public Use Area has been recognized by many local area residents. Ad hoc use of firearms in the Knik River area was cited by many as a problem. The solution offered by some people was to prohibit the use of all firearms. Lifelong hunters and shooters themselves, Kenny and Patty Barber, worked with state policymakers to locate a secure site nearby and advocate for the development of a shooting range where local residents can exercise their Second Amendment rights. The Butte Community Council should recognize Kenny and Patty Barber for the efforts on behalf of the local area residents. Along with that, I've talked to Bill Stoltz, and he said if we, as the Butte Community Council, made a recommendation, he would run it through the state coffers to get it through the state and put it on as an official state shooting range named after Patty and Kenny Barber.
Are you asking for a vote from the council tonight then,
I
Mr.
would make
Lackey?
that a motion that the council send that recommendation to Bill Stoltz for running it up the ladder into the state for state approval of that name change.
Second that.
And Ron's.
Okay.
All right. I would like to speak to any issues or concerns about the motion before I call for a vote.
Yeah, I'd just like to say my appreciation for Ken and Patty and all the work they've done. I don't know that most people in this room recognize that Kenny and Patty both have spent most of my lifetime working on behalf of the things that I like to do and my family likes to do. I don't know that, you won't hear it from either one of them because they're fairly quiet and fairly selfless about how they go about that, and I appreciate everything they do. Thank you.
I'd like to say thanks a lot to you guys, but I'm going outside while you do this.
Okay, well, I'll call for a vote. Will Kenny have to use his bladder? Show of hands against. Show there is 2 in objection.
32.
Thank you so much and congratulations. All right, we had contact from Matsu Trails and Parks Foundation on 2 different things. Kim Riles is looking for trails and parks projects, and she would like contact back through the Matsu Trails and Parks Foundation. We also have Trail Fundamentals and TMO, Trail Management Objectives, is coming up. That is a course, and I believe
I couldn't get my printer to print. If you guys are interested in that, you can give me your email address and I'll forward it to you.
I believe that's also handled through Matsu Trails and Parks Foundation, but it has another governmental overseeing in that. I'm not sure who it is, one of the parks.
One of those is Forest Service, and I'm not sure.
U.S. Forest Service, I believe, is the one that I
That's one
saw.
of those TMOs, and I'm not sure who's doing the first one.
That'll be April 19th, 1 to 5, and I believe it's $350 for that.
Child nutrition program.
All right, and as she said, she has the email for that. We have comments and agency information on oil and gas exploration in the Houston-Willow solicitation area. We have the contact information for that. And if you're interested in commenting, it has the boundary map and contact information. And which one?
Department of Education and Early Development.
I didn't see this one.
Child.
All right. Well, we'll all be surprised. Well, maybe not. Trail Administrator. Oh, this is about the summer food service program. We also, we discussed this once here. I think it was moved to the school at that time. This is about the summer food service or program, intention to operate or not operate. I'll contact our treasurer to see, I think she has the information on that, and see if the school's doing that or if we need to get involved in that. And we also have contact information about that here. I believe that is all we have to bring forward to you. Does anybody else from the board have anything? Does anybody else from the Mitzi?
I've noticed that you, Daryl, are apparently on the marijuana board.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Brendan Knox is on the Jim Creek Stakeholders Committee, or board, whatever it is. And of course, Kenny Barber is involved with the Trails Committee. None of you bring anything to the community council from any of these boards, committees, councils, whatever they are. And I was wondering if you could give us some kind of a report after you've had your meetings so that we know basically what's going on, and maybe ask us for our opinion about the work that you're doing. I'm not sure if I read the resolution correctly as far as the marijuana board is concerned, but it kind of looked to me as though the board was trying to limit small businesses, small growers, from having any ability to sell their product to companies or businesses that actually distribute it to users. So I'm thinking, well, you know, here's an opportunity for small businesses to get involved in something that could bring some income to the area, but for some reason the board doesn't seem to think that's a good idea. So I was just wondering if you guys could maybe give us a little report once in a while. I actually went to the stakeholders meeting the other day, and I was rather disappointed to find that although they mentioned the non-motorized area on the west side of the Jim Creek area, that was pretty much it. I mean, there were 2 brief mentions, but nothing of any substantial looking into as far as, you know, what was going on. Mostly it's motorized, and that's all fine and good, but I'd like to see what's being done for the people that don't do that, or only do that occasionally, or want to walk or ski or use their horses or ride their goats or whatever.
Right, I understand. I'll speak to it first since you said me first. I voted against larger areas. I wanted smaller areas. I did not want big pharmacopoeia industries coming in here and running the small businessman and somebody in Alaska that could make money for themselves out. That's what's happening now in Colorado, and businesses that have been there established are now being run out by big corporations. I voted against having that happen here. Jim Sykes has been bringing most of the information about the marijuana advisory committee to the meetings in his reports. That's why I haven't doubled up on what if something does come up that is more of a contentious topic, I will certainly come and let the community know, and it has been my mistake to not do so first off here. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. And Brandon, you're on.
Yeah, the Jim Creek area, actually Kenny got me involved with that. He knows way more about it than I do because it's been going on for a considerable amount of time. And we have talked about this at the meetings. Here's the December minutes right here in front of me where we had a brief discussion about that project. And we also had one, you read the minutes from January, and there was a discussion there as well. So for anybody that doesn't know, the Jim Creek area over here, you know, where the parking lot's been cleared and there's been a little bit of paving done. They're trying to make it more friendly for larger vehicles to get in and out of there and stop the dust that's flowing into the neighbors' properties over there. They're also in the project for this summer, they're looking at putting about a 20-space RV parking area in there. That's still kind of in flux yet, they're still in the process of designing that, but it'll be approximately 20 spaces. That'll be west of, like where the existing bathroom is now, that'll be west of that area a little bit. The parking area was expanded to allow just for more organized parking and room for everybody to get in there and get their pickups and their trailers in off the road. There's been discussions about punching a well in out there, it may just be a hand pump well. There's also, you know, I heard of as much as 3 wells at the last meeting. I know we've talked about 2, we've talked about 1, so it's a budget thing. There's also been discussions of getting power ran over there so we can have an overhead security light for wintertime use and possibly a camera, you know, again, for mostly in the winter, I suspect. The campground area would be strictly dry camping. There's not going to be sewer hookups and that kind of thing there. So back down to the equestrian area, Kenny can weigh in more on this than I can, but there's a designated non-motorized area there. And there has been some development on that, I thought. They were getting started.
Yeah, there was some, they're building a non-motorized trail for horses and people on the west side toward the far end of it. And there's also supposed to be, I don't know if it's gonna happen, it's just what people are talking about. Hitching rails for horses and that kind of stuff out there that they're wanting to put in. And I guess other than that, I don't really know. You guys know more about it than us, and I didn't make the last meeting, so I can't really tell you on all that. But I know that they're looking at upgrading some of the trails back there too, so I don't know.
Kenny, I made the last meeting, and they were, well, you were there as well. Their primary, the discussion is to go ahead and get they want to get the power in. They're waiting for a quote from MEA, by the way.
I actually was just reading an email about it.
So we're anxious on that to find out. We were hoping to have that before the last meeting, but something got mixed up and the paperwork coming down. But that's the main objective, is to get some power out there, to be able to put a well in, and to you know, kind of lay out where these RV spots are. The RV spots are critical. They got a couple of things left over from last year that they're trying to finish up first, just around the bathroom and that sort of stuff, and get that organized.
And if you look at that poster board up there, it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
But that poster board has the main stuff that's going on out there.
Right.
One of the things that bothered me was that where the equestrian trails were supposed to be going in, there was something about motorized right next to it that was going to be, it sounded like it was.
I don't know what that is, motorized next to it, but.
Yeah, there was supposed to be another trail right next to that was motorized.
I don't think so.
Now, if there's a development or an upgrade of the equestrian trails, is there gonna be some way to keep those from being degraded by the motorists?
That's up to the people who are using them, I guess. I don't know what to tell you on that. I mean, if you think that they're gonna put a fence up and let you ride through the fence, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think what's gonna happen is, just like the guy who was out there when we did the survey and all that stuff, stated that, I hate to say this, but don't make it any wider than a horse's ass. Because if you do, then you're gonna have motorcycles and all the people running up and down.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to stay away from, and that's what we're trying to do with that trail. And the other thing is, one of the guys there at the borough brought up a good idea, I thought. He wanted to make the trail wider than what it is, the Sexton Trail. You know where that's at? That's the main trail going back there, the Sexton Trail.
There's a couple of them that are called Sexton.
He wanted to make that trail wider, so that you're not, like right now, you got people that are real close to each other coming back and forth. He didn't want that, he wanted to see it split so that you go out one way and come back one way. And I think that's a heck of a good idea. And that way you can use, I mean, it can be split just like it is right now. It's multi-use. It's not motorized, non-motorized. Some people don't like that idea, but I've talked to a lot of horse people that do like that idea. So, I don't.
I've seen some pretty
Oh,
near
I have too.
accidents
I
out
mean, yeah,
there.
there's, there's always idiots out
Yeah.
there, so, I don't know what to say.
And nobody, and sometimes you get a couple of guys that don't want to back down.
Right. But that works two ways. I've seen it happen both ways,
You
so.
can always ask MEA to put a boulder there.
So anyway, the only thing I can tell you is I'll try to keep you informed as much as I can, and, I just, I'm not very good at that, but I'll sure try.
Yeah, try it.
So anyway,
Dan had something to
I just was gonna say for the general good here too, so both the state of Alaska and the borough here all have boards and commissions that deal with any number of different uses, whether it's parks and recs and trails, both from a state and a borough side. So those, for the state side, you can just apply for those boards and commissions, and it's a similar process for the borough. So if there's some section of what's going on and they're always looking for people to put in for those positions, feel free to do so and talk to, Jim or whoever about getting your name forwarded through there. I mean, it's a public involvement process like anything, so it's sometimes not knowing that those opportunities are there is what's holding people back. So I just want to let people know, look into that. It's all on, a lot of the stuff for the state's online, but it's a pretty easy process. Put your name in the hat and get involved.
Is there anything you can do to find out why I put my application in for the fire service area out here at Butte back in September, and it's still, nothing has come of it? We still do not have anybody on the fire service area board.
That really comes down to a question for Jim Sykes, because his responsibility as our assembly member is to bring people's names forward to represent our community area. That is his responsibility to do that. So that's a question that firmly falls in the hands of Mr. Sykes, and I would light his phone up on that one.
So I should send him an email?
You should send him an email or call him or both.
Okay.
Okay. I don't want to go ahead and take up anybody else's time, but if somebody else has something, Ron.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Does anybody else have any issues or concerns about adjourning first? Any objections?
I got a question. Mr. Crowley brought up on that first meeting in December about minutes being recorded and posted somewhere, and what's going to happen. I haven't seen no minutes
I'll
or.
respond to that. So I've got a stack of minutes that I will be taking tomorrow for all the meetings prior. I'll take those to the borough where they will be recorded there at the borough. So
They've got all of them since 2015.
they got all of them prior. We'll get all of them caught up here. And,
They're up till 2015 at the borough from Deborah Weatherhorn, if you want to check her.
For 2015 and up to.
And I think that Kathy posted them on that site she
Until now, will be
made.
posted, means that you just bring those in, sir.
So we'll get that caught up, and certainly, I heard that during the lead up to the elections in November, so I'll make that a personal deal myself to make sure that the correspondence with the borough is kept up to date. I'll deliver meeting minutes, resolutions, whatever we need
Well, it's
on
also for the
Thursdays.
members too, the council. I mean, everybody wants to see what's going on.
Right, and I don't think it's too.
Recording's also on YouTube.
I think
all
it's
council
pretty,
meetings.
pretty safe to say too that, we can get that information to the, Facebook page and they can be posted on there as well. So that's, all those things are work in progress too, so we'll keep working on that.
All right, I was told that I'm a little quick to close meetings sometimes, that's why I stepped on your motion, Ron. I'm very sorry, would you again?
That's fine. Oh, would I make the motion again?
Yeah.
All business conducted, I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Seeing no objections, thank you so much for coming, we appreciate it.